Let's talk about the data science bit first. We'll bring out the Jason Del Rey skepticism early on, but we'll talk about this. So if you talk to people in the fashion industry, some people like pure fashion, when you guys started, or maybe even the last couple of years, they would hear the data science thing and be like, if that's real, like, is that really happening? What's the advantage? Is there a real advantage there? And if so, why don't they do the whole thing via computers? Why do they need human stylists? So help convince me that the data science at your company is real and a real reason for how you're differentiating right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend a whole hour on this. To bring up a couple concrete examples, so when our stylist, 100% of what we deliver is through a stylist choosing things for you. When she's making those selections, she has a recommendation score available to her, which is personalized to you, the combination of you and that product. And so every week, we generate 1.2 billion recommendation scores, and those are incredibly accurate. So Eric, who runs our data science team, he's never seen such a tight correlation of what we predict happens and what actually happens. So that the stylist has this fantastic information when she's sending you products where she may decide, I'm going to send these jeans which have a 72% chance of being kept, but I want to try this top which might only have a 30% chance of being kept, but like I think it's a fun roll of the dice and I think it might work. And so when we look retroactively at what happened when we send out things that have a 73% chance or a 30% chance, the kind of what actually happens and what we predicted is almost a straight linear line, and that's really kind of a testament to how strong the data science component is. To give you one other, so a men's woven shirt, for example. Men's has been a new business for us that's been very successful and fun. But a men's woven shirt, we'll take 30 different points of measurement on that shirt, including how far down is the first button, what is the bicep width, and all of that actually helps us to better understand, is this going to be good for somebody who prefers a regular fit or a slim cut? And in the first couple of months of launching men's, we actually were able to use those points of measurement to improve the product, so that we could see kind of with extra small and extra large that we weren't being as successful as we could. And so using customer feedback, we were actually able to improve the success rates for those sizes, extra small or small and extra large, by like 20%. And that's really because we can use all of the data in a very actionable way, because customers are giving us this data about what's working, what's not working, and why, that really enables us to be able to improve over time.
So where does the work of the computers and the work of the human stylist begin? And then is there a time when the human, like your computers are so good that you don't need people like us, or people, period?
So we use data science, all across our supply chain. And so there are some places where it is pretty much 100% data science. So deciding like, here's a client, which stylist should it go to, for example, or here's a client, which warehouse has the best inventory or the best selection for this client. So there are some places where the data science is the primary way that we operate. I guess in terms of the intersection within the styling cockpit of deciding what gets sent, the stylist is really that last mile, and that combination of human and data, I think, is really differentiated and also really important. So as good as the data science is, there are going to be times when the human layer of judgment above that is going to be able to be incremental to the data science. And there's also just the relationship building aspect of what we're doing as personal styling. It's deeply personal. Building those relationships so that clients are excited to get their fix again and again is really driven by that human connection and our stylist's ability to get to know a client and to be able to make her feel heard, make him feel heard.
So Tristan mentioned just a bit earlier, the perhaps rising popularity of private label. Private label has been part of retail forever, but it's a part of your business. And you started, it seems like over the first few years, the clothing you sell is a combination of private label and also maybe smaller boutique brands. And when I talk to some women who, over time have churned out of Stitch Fix, one thing I hear sometimes is, sometimes I want like a higher end brand that I know. And so I guess the question is, have you started doing any of that? And is there a desire to go more premium with your product? And does that fit into like what you guys do well?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we are best in the world at is personalizing, and that really means about price point and about brands as well. And so, where we started was in more of a mass market price point, but over time we've been able to kind of grow at both ends of the spectrum to be able to offer more of the price points that she wants. And so I don't have anything specific to share with you, but we've definitely already added quite a bit more in the higher price points, and it's a need that we see and that we hear from our customers.
Are these household brand names or?
Sure. Oh, today we have Joie, we have Splendid, we have Trina Turk. There's quite a few brands that you've heard of that we carry now that frankly we didn't carry 3 years ago. And over time, our ability to be able to get the right thing for the right person, the relationships that we have with our brands is really important. And so, you ask about private label, we call them exclusive brands. That actually hasn't really grown as a percentage of our portfolio in the last few years. And
where does that sit at percentage-wise?
I don't think that's a number we share.
Come on, I see a lot of friends around this room, so. How about, I guess a number, you tell me, warm, cold. 30.
It's lower than 30.
Okay.
And so
20.
It's lower than 30, and to be honest, like the relationship we have and the place that we are in the brand ecosystem is so important for us. And so our exclusive brands in a lot of ways are really addressing opportunities that we see in the data of we need a men's woven shirt in a specific price and we're not able to find that as well in the market. And so we're really able to opportunistically fill in our assortment that way. But the brand ecosystem, we love hearing some of our brand partners, we're like their only growth channel or their only full price growth channel. We hear that they see more traffic to their website.
You're the new department store.
In a lot of ways, I think exactly, yeah. I mean, the growth that they used to see in department stores, they're not seeing now. And so they're really excited about the connection they can build with clients through our channel.
I mean, that was the other reason I asked the question about, higher end brands is we see what happened this past holiday season and the last few. And I would think there are smart people running some of these brands that are traditionally have sold direct, mainly into department stores that are saying, like, where is our growth coming from today? Mm-hmm. And so do you lean into that bad narrative from the other side of the holiday season?
I think it certainly helps. I think it's an interesting dynamic right now, and there are a lot of fantastic brands that are just trying to figure out how do I reach the right customers, and to be able to reach them in a channel like ours where we're able to qualify to say this customer is looking for business casual clothes and a price point and a fit that's going to be great for you. I mean, that just doesn't really exist, and growth in the full price channel doesn't exist, and so I think it undoubtedly is helpful to us.
Oftentimes, Stitch Fix is one of the companies that probably more so than others, I get people floating me revenue numbers, what they think. Because for a long time, you guys have been...
They're floating them to you, or you're fishing for them?
Kara Swisher's my boss, so what do you think? So I'm doing my job. So anyway, you hear 700 million annual revenue, 900 million, $1 billion. I'm assuming we're not going to get an answer out of you tonight, but maybe you'll make my night, how big you guys are. I'll stop the question there.
We haven't hit $1 billion, I'll tell you that. We don't disclose our revenue numbers, but we've been really excited about the growth that we've seen, and we've been really excited about the growth vectors that we've seen. And so we've talked to you about men's, we talked about plus size, and both of those businesses have grown really quickly in a short period of time. So I won't give you exact revenue numbers, but I'll give you some ratios that you might enjoy.
Nothing else matters.
No. Our men's business in 6 months got to be as large as it took about 3.5 years for us to build our women's business. In our plus size business, we're less than a month, and I believe in about less than a month we will do about as much as we did in 12 months.
I did not catch that last one.
The first 12 months of Stitch Fix, so the
Got
first
it.
year of Stitch Fix. And so what's exciting about that, I think, is not only can we continue to grow and really improve our women's core brand, but that these growth vectors are really exciting to see, not just the growth of the top line, frankly, but really the health of it. And so on the men's side, we can look at how many items people are keeping. We can see how successful is each style, kind of all of these.
Are men shopping for men, or is it women who were Stitch Fix customers shopping for men, or I don't know. Yeah. Who is the male customer?
You can do both. Yeah, so you actually can sign up as a woman for a man. Interestingly, it's mostly men shopping for men. So, I think there's a lot of data out there around men are becoming more fashion aware, and men are showing more of an interest in the category and looking good.
Sorry, that was fishing. So So another, one of my big overarching questions on the business model you guys have is, do women and men need this much clothing every month or two? And maybe even if they have the money to do so, even if you're hitting that sweet spot of budget. So are people, how often are people churning out? Can you give me any idea why I should feel more confident? Well, you don't have to convince me, but the sustainability of the business, what do you see with churn? Do people come back? How big of an issue is it?
Yeah, so I didn't correct you earlier, but the cadence is really something that people enjoy, but a la carte has been something that you can do since the beginning. And so the backbone of what we do is personalization. And so we have people who come to us and are just I just need a new pair of jeans, 75 pairs of jeans. And even the 5 things, frankly, doesn't matter. And so as we look into the future and look into the things that we're working on, breaking the molds of some of the things that we might be known for now that have helped to make us successful, the backbone of what really helps to make us successful is the personalization element. And so, retention is incredibly important, and it's also actually one of the things that I think we're best in the world at, and that's really because of the trust and the connection we have with our clients. And so 90% of the time when somebody is checking out and letting us know what they're keeping and not keeping, they're letting us know why. And when they're disappointed, they're letting us know why. And so letting us know why and saying, I'm disappointed because I'm looking for premium brands and you don't have them now, that actually helps us to be able to understand how we can serve her better in the future. And so, of course, retention is, of course, very important. And it's also, I think one of the things we can be best at.
Another, trend we've seen over the last few years, maybe longer than that, is the idea that customers are being trained by department stores and other retailers to only shop on sale. And one of the things interesting about your business is unless you're buying you're not getting a discount unless you're buying the whole box, right? And so I wonder how much, do you think you can do that, forever, which is not put items on sale, not feed into how people have been trained, and if so, how?
Yeah, so firstly, just for any customers, we price match. So it's not, if you ever find anything on sale at another retailer, come let us know and we will absolutely match the price. And so it's
I feel like in your early days there were some examples of people finding a tag from Nordstrom Rack or something, and no?
That example, it's a longer story for that, but that was actually a vendor shipment issue, and so that was something that got shipped to us that was supposed to be shipped to Nordstrom Rack 7 months later and had just got packed in the wrong box, and we explained that to the reporter and explained that to the client. Of course, that side never made it through.
And I'm asking about it 4 years later.
Exactly, and it was about 4 years ago, I believe. And so it actually wasn't on sale in Nordstrom Rack at the same time as our channel. It was a missed ticket.
But you do price match.
We do price match when you see that out there, and we always have, actually. So on the other question around the kind of the full price and the nature of the model, I think part of the crisis that we're seeing in retail right now is that if your retail store is merely a place for a transaction where you tender cash and you take a product home, and that's the only value that your store delivers, you are in trouble. And I think part of the race to the bottom that we've seen is that if you are in that business, you are now in a global marketplace that is all competing for cheapest and fastest. And so if what you're looking for is an exact, you already know, I'm looking for an iPhone charger, or I'm looking for, this ice cube tray. That was the last thing I bought. This ice cube tray, you're looking for a specific thing. You're in this global marketplace of where can I get it cheapest and fastest. The reality is that doesn't work when you're looking for a pair of jeans. You're not looking for the cheapest and fastest pair of jeans. In fact, you just want jeans that fit you well. And that's very hard to do online today, and that without Stitch Fix. And it's very hard to do in stores today with the way that stores have been trending with staffing and talent. And so, I think it depends on what you're looking for. And, for us, the value add is, of course, we want to offer the best price, and so we will offer the best price in the market. But the value that you're really getting is the personalization and finding jeans that fit and finding a dress that looks great on you.
Do you get more or less inbound acquisition partnership interest from traditional companies than you would expect at the size of your company?
Ooh, I don't know what I should expect.
I don't know. You know your business. Right?
Honestly, we've been really heads down, and I think the market kind of knows that, and so I wouldn't say that we're flooded with anything. That's what you're asking.
Yeah. And Well, obviously in my space and among investors, there's always looking forward at what are the potential public companies that are private right now. Is that your vision for the company?
I wouldn't say it's not like some big shiny goal that we want to achieve. At some point, that may be part of our future, and we're really focused on making sure that path is available to us whenever we choose to walk down that path. But we don't have any goals around it. We don't have any timelines or milestones.
You do have venture capital investors.
We do, but I think we haven't raised in years, and we have very supportive investors, and I think we're very lucky to be able to have their support in whatever path we want to choose when we want to choose it.
I'm not sure how many people in the audience know you're on the board of a public company, Grubhub, which owns Seamless in New York, and Grubhub, the brand, all over the U.S. food delivery. I believe you took the seat of one of your board members or something along, Bill Gurley, venture capitalist. What have you learned through that experience of being on a board of a public company? I'm assuming this was your first board you've been on?
It's been fascinating. I think you learn how other companies kind of look at their metrics. You learn how even just running a board meeting and being on the other side and realizing, oh, this is something that I could be doing better for my board members. And there's so much to learn, and especially being in a public company and having seen it go up and down and up again, and it's fascinating to learn from.
One more thing, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. Quick story, I once caught Jeff Bezos very briefly backstage at a Recode event. I made the mistake of asking him what he was wearing, trying to see if he was wearing Amazon clothing. We got into a discussion, and it ended up in a place where he was talking about how he thinks in the future of fashion is mixing technology with a personal touch, which I thought sounded very much like one company I knew. And so I'm curious, do you pay attention to what's Amazon doing? They've launched some pick out your outfit, and a stylist over the app will tell you what looks good on you. Jeff's not doing the picking, I'm told. But I'm curious, how do you view Amazon? People have looked at them as a potential acquirer with the money to pick up someone like Stitch Fix, very interested in fashion. How do you view them as a threat or partner or what?
Well, thanks for asking. I'm wearing Stitch Fix. In terms of Amazon, it's hard not to watch what Amazon's doing, and they are phenomenal at what they do. And I think we really focus on a different value proposition is the way that I see it. And in a lot of ways, I have so much respect for what they do, but a lot of ways the things that we focus on are kind of like anti-Amazon, of if they're focused on cheapest and fastest, we're kind of not focused on that. And so, I really think of the kind of skill set and capabilities that we're developing as being quite different from what they're doing.
So a perfect acquisition fit is what you're saying.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, and yeah. I'm not, I have no idea what they're thinking or what their strategy is, but they're an impressive company. We keep an eye on what they're doing, and I haven't tried out their outfit app thing yet.
We can do it over drinks afterward, maybe.
Okay, great.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Sure, we got some. Otherwise, I will call on people. Oh, great. We have one. We'll start back there, and then we'll get Mr. Dunn over here. Tell us who you are.
Billy May. I'm not the infomercial guy.
Where do you work, Billy?
I did work at Abercrombie & Fitch.
Okay.
So you talked a lot about the customer data and a little bit in private label. Can you talk about how you're using the customer data to drive private label and how you're shortening product development?
Absolutely.
Did you plant that question? That's a really good question.
I know, it's a really good question. Are you taking notes?
No, I'm trying. It's hot.
So our customer data. So as I think about what we do that no other retailer is doing, I get a lot of people who say to me, it would be so awesome if my customers would tell me my bra size and when they're pregnant. How do you get them to do that? And it's an interesting question, because if kind of a place, if you were in a Walgreens and they're like, okay, now fill out this 3-page survey to let us know all of this, your weight and height and whatever, why would you do that? And so, it's an interesting, the trust that we have with our customer is such a deep part of what makes us very powerful. But with that is there's an implicit contract that data is going to help us make her or his experience better. And so there are times when I've had a client who shared with me that she was pregnant when she was like 6 weeks in, and this happened to be somebody I knew, and I had this moment of like, oh wait, this is weird. Like, I shouldn't know that. She probably hasn't told her family yet, and she's telling her Stitch Fix stylist, who then sent her fix to me to QA because it was a friend of mine. And so these moments, that deep relationship that people have with our brand and people have with their stylist is it's really valuable and it's really precious, and we have to treat it that way. And so when somebody shares that with us, they're sharing it with us so that we can send her clothes that are going to fit her through her pregnancy, and that she's going to feel great in. And so that contract that we have is that people share with us because we have to show that we can make their experience better over time. In terms of our exclusive brands, the data that I mentioned earlier, actually, for example, with woven shirts, we can actively see that we create our own products. We also have hundreds, maybe probably thousands at this point, of vendors who create products. And so we can actually learn, we have points of measurement on all the men's woven shirts. And so we can actually learn that, oh, these measurements are actually working better for our small guy, our size small guy who wants a slim fit shirt, and these are working better for a regular fit shirt, so that we can evolve our fit blocks over time. We also can have kind of a nimbler supply chain. And so one example is that we can, I'm trying to shorten these things, but we can basically take we can take 10 different styles and say we want to try to figure out what's going to be best for a 20-year-old client, and try 10 different styles, and within 2 weeks we can already see these 2 are winners, these 8 let's dump, let's pair these 2 off, and then using a domestic supply chain, we can really quickly iterate to be able to understand and produce product that's going to be kind of targeted against an assortment that we're looking for.
How long is that? Within a couple,
within 2 weeks, we can get a read, and then if it's domestic supply chain, within another 2 weeks, we can do a deeper buy.
We got Andy.
I got the mic, so I'm going.
Stand up, please. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Andy.
Andy, where do you
work?
work?
What's up, Katrina?
Hi, Andy.
That's all I had.
And Andy works at Bonobo.
Question for you: stores. 10 years from now, do you see an experiential, retail footprint for Stitch Fix, or not so much?
I mean, it's not something that we're focused on right now. And frankly, I think with stores, we've seen them be successful for so many other people, and we've learned a lot from that. But right now, it's not an area we're super focused in. But if we were going to do it, to your point, I think, is it experiential? Is it value add? I think there's a question around what is the reason for being for the store? And I don't think we kind of have that right thing yet. So it's not something we're focused on.
Got one right here.
Yeah. Steve Vidors with Turn 5. So it seems like every big retailer is talking about exclusive brands and private label. You mentioned you have them, but it's not grown over the past couple of years. Is that just you don't see it as important right now, or is it not part of the long-term strategy?
I mean, it's definitely part of our strategy. It's a meaningful part of our sales, but we're not anticipating that it's going to be like all of our business or something like that. Like for us, our vendor base actually is they provide they're branded products that people are looking for. They're ways for us to experiment and to be able to try all kinds of different types of fits, for example. Our vendor base adds so much value to us that they're very important to us. And so exclusive brands is a very important part of our portfolio, but the vendors are also. And so, I think we have a nice synergy with both.
All right, I think we're going to have to stop there, Katrina. Thank you very much.